Well, I hope everyone's okay with that.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
we're going to add that. We've been asked by the chief who came from the Texas Department of Public Safety, and I'm adding that's something they did all the time, and I sure have no problem with doing that, so we'll do that. So Ben, if you'll lead us in a prayer and JJ the pledge. Ben?
Lord, thank you so much for this day. We just thank you for the many blessings that you've given the city of Eastland, especially as of late. We just ask for your guidance and wisdom as we make decisions for the city. We just pray for your continued blessings over this community and through the holidays. In your son's name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. On the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you very much. This is a regular meeting of the Eastland City Commission for December 19th. We don't have anything for public comment. We ask you to approve the minutes of the November 21st meeting. You've got a copy of those in front of you.
Move to approve the minutes of the November 21st meeting.
Motion from
Second.
Richard, a second from Ben. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I would like to mention our city secretary was voted
Yeah.
Secretary of the World
Yeah.
for the Bluebonnet chapter. City secretary out of about 40 city secretaries or whatever, and that's, congratulations, well done. Did that in just 4 years, that's pretty good. Thank you very much. And the next thing is the city manager's briefing. We got a financial report, I've just jumped, we ain't done anything, I'm ready to go. Merry Christmas, huh? Financial report, we've got that, you've got the graph in front of you, and
Wow. Yeah.
you know, the trend line hangs in there, it's amazing. I don't know how that works, but it's very consistent, obviously. I mean, the trend is, I guess for the first 3 months here, it's been absolutely spot on. We can guess what we're gonna be next month if the trend keeps on, I guess.
And we have two.
Now, the next month it goes up and down. We'll have to guess, wait and see what it does. But it's,
And our growth is exceeding inflation, isn't it?
huh?
Yeah. I'm trying to, what is the current
We're saying the perfect,
annualized inflation rate?
14 point, oh.
And
Our-
current
ours
annualized
is-
inflation rate
I don't know
is
what the annualized inflation
about
rate is.
7 to
I
8%.
was gonna say 7% is
So
what I was
when
fixing
we're
to
growing
say.
at a 17 to 14% trend,
Yeah.
I mean, it's
We're ahead of
real
just,
growth. It's not just
while
inflation.
inflate, right, that's exactly right, real growth. And that's, while inflation is obviously playing a part, we'll take all that we can get. So, any questions for the financial report? And that's all we've got.
Yeah.
Leslie must be really busy if she's been off one. Uh-huh. The Board of City Commissioners may discuss and take action on the following agenda item. Discussion and consideration to approve second reading of ordinance 22-892 to update the fee schedule. And you've got that in front of you. You've got a little printout here that.
yes, sir, anytime we have to redo the fee schedule, it has to come before y'all. And what we're proposing with the fee schedule this time is the water district went up 12% on their rates that they sell to us. And as much as we hate to do it, we need to raise ours 12% also. And included in the fee schedule, on top of that, the trash, waste connections went up 9.17% on theirs. So garbage had to be increased also. The new water rate went from, the previous water rate was $50.02, and the new water rate will be $56.02. It's just a straight 12%, right in line with the water district. And the garbage went up from 1866 to 1985, and that's just a direct reflection on Waste Connections price increase also. The total monthly bill, the base bill will be $121.59 inside the city limits. And if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them.
We discussed all this
Yes,
last
sir.
time. This is the second reading.
Yes, sir.
I move that we pass ordinance 22-892.
Second.
Got a motion from Zach and a second from Ben to pass ordinance 22-892. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Now we can do the city manager briefing.
Okay, I'm gonna probably roll the GLO, FIF, dam repairs, all into one report. First,
Nothing to report.
yeah, well, first of all, y'all asked last month for an updated timeline. Behind my written report, there is a timeline update to the best of our knowledge. I will say that the archaeological dig is done. We are waiting for a final report. There were some things found at Ringling Lake that Texas State is working with the Texas Historical Board to work out and see if there's anything further that they're going to need to investigate. Texas State has said that they do not believe that we need to take any other further action on that. And with that, we had a conference call the other day, and they want us to go ahead and start moving forward with the design phase for the GLO project for the flood mitigation part of it. You know, if you'll remember, it's in 3 different parts: the drainage improvements, dam improvements, and streets, which will act as water flumes during this part. So, with all that being said, they gave me a timeline. The first 2 pages in front of you are nothing but archaeological timeline. If you'll look, I mean, we've been working on this since, October of 21, and we're now into December of 22, and we're just now getting this complete. Really, they're in the middle of the acquisition phase of it, and Scott and his team have just started pulling the data from HDR, which is doing the FIF, the H&H study, working with them to come up with what they think is going to be the best options and the best bang for our buck when it comes to flood. And they've come up with a few ideas, and we're still working through that. But I mean, as you see, really we have until January 31st of 2025 for everything to be complete. But we're still going to be humping it to get everything that we want done in that. Where else?
So let me, first of all, what's these funny little, I don't want to be nervous, but what can we do, if anything, to, one, get us on schedule, speed up the schedule, or make sure we stay on schedule?
I have reached out to Representative Spiller, since he will be our new representative, and Representative Rogers, to see if they could put, I don't want to say pressure, but to see if they can help speed up this historical commission stuff and this archaeological, because that has really thrown a hamper on a lot of things, and just the whole environmental review process, which we're pretty much done with environmental review process at this time. And they said they would look into it and help in that regards.
Okay, but like it says here, just going through the timeline.
Yes, sir.
Engineering design for the creek channel improvements on 6/30/22. Is that done? Is that 9 months? Is that
On that as we speak.
so? They're going to have that done by March 31st. So the bid advertisement, is that on schedule?
Yes, this came as of last Wednesday.
And this is on schedule?
Yes, sir. They believe so.
Okay, do you have a mechanism to make sure we are staying? What I'm concerned about is we rock through here and they say this is what the schedule is. If we get off of this schedule, we can't afford to miss it by much.
No, sir. No, sir, and that's something that we've really been talking about, and Judy Langford and her group have also been talking to the state agencies about that problem itself right there, that they need to speed up on their end to cut through the red tape that's holding everything up so we can meet these deadlines like they would meet.
Okay, what is being held up right now? What, we want to blame it on the
Yes.
archaeological.
Yes,
Where is that on this contract? Where is that on this?
it's not, because this is just for the GLO itself.
Okay, but we need,
The H&H, that's,
okay, but we need to see where that is too. I think
Okay.
we need to see
Okay.
where that is, and we need these two plans side by side. If this is contingent on that one being done, we need to know that, and we need to, Scott Hay, Hibbs and Todd, somebody needs to be pushing a button, and as well as us. If I need to call as a mayor, if we need to do anything, get Spiller and Rogers, and I guess we really need to depend on Spiller now, but I hate to lose Rogers. I mean, he's got a matter of what, days before he's
yeah.
done?
And when last time I talked to him, he assured us that he's still a friend of Eastland's and not to hesitate to call him at any time.
Well, I mean, we need to depend on Spiller if
Yes,
he's
sir.
gonna be our guy and do it. We need to get all of this put together on one timeline.
Okay.
I mean, this is important, this is good, but I think you make another column here, whatever that other piece of this pie that we're depending on, that other contract, and see that if it's tied to this, we need those tied together with a timeline.
Yes,
Somebody kicked their butt.
yeah.
Well-
Yeah, money-wise, they're not tied to each other, but yes, they are tied together because,
Okay,
To
but we
get
get
them
here
up-
to 6:30, and we're ready to do the next thing, and Scott Hayes, oh, well, we can't do that because they don't have that done yet.
with you 100%. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
then because we look here, okay, I'm happy, we're on schedule,
Yes, sir.
so if he can't do anything,
Yes, sir. You're right.
okay.
You're right.
Getting paid.
Well, I mean, we need this tied together, we're paying Scott Hay and them a lot of money, and
Right, a lot.
they need to, it'd be easy to sit back and point your finger, give me my check.
Yes, sir. I got you. And I will make those calls and get that done.
The H&H portion of this has to be completed first before the creek channel improvements begins, is that right?
Yes and no. The H&H is nearly complete now. And what the H&H will do is will provide recommendations on how we get the best bang for our buck on setting up to help the flood mitigation portion of
Okay.
that, the creek channel improvement. They have an idea of where they're headed with it now.
Is their stuff, is that included in the engineering design of the creek channel improvements? Is that the portion that is this length of 9 months, is that the portion of the H&H? Or is that a separate portion?
The portion that's in here is a separate portion from the H&H. Hibbs and Todd has subcontracted to do the H&H study with another engineering firm, of HDR, which the way it was explained to me, HDR, they're like the water engineering firm. When you have,
Specialize in that.
yeah, when you have water and dam issues, that's who you go to because that's what they do. And they have been working on a series of recommendations on how to help with our flooding issues.
So the engineering, I just want to just
Yeah.
keep on this, the engineering design for creek channel improvements, the start date was June 5th of this year, and it was going off for 9 months. It's still going on for
Still
9
going
months.
on, yes.
So that one went on without the need for this H&H study at all. Is that right?
No, they have been in, they have weekly
concert.
with back and forth, yeah.
With floodplains, an H&H study is required if you're gonna attempt to make any changes to the floodplain, which is what their designs are gonna end up doing. So basically, it's not only identifying what still jives as far as the flood zone itself, the floodplain, the floodway, and that zone X, right, that's on the flood maps. So they're using this H&H study to help identify all those portions, so then EH&T can take that data and pull it into what they're doing to redesign to make everything fixed. Now, I know that some of the meetings that he's had with EH&T, they have been doing some design to where for information we already know is good. It's just that because of, the streets and everything else hasn't changed. But as far as like the water flow flowing through there, they're looking at how much dirt's been moved already since the last study that was done in the 70s or 80s that our current flood maps are used for.
I see. Another question. The next one underneath engineering design is bid advertisement for creek channel improvements. That starts on March 31st of 23.
Yes.
We're about 3 months away from that. Does the H&H, does it need to be completed
It will be complete by then.
before
Yes, it'll
that
be
can
complete.
start?
It'll be complete by then.
Okay.
They're under contract to have it done by then. And we were on a call this afternoon, and
Let me ask you,
they're ahead of schedule.
when they finish that, can the bid advertisement begin a few months early?
Yeah, if we can get everything in like it needs to be, yeah, they can
'Cause that's
start all
March,
that.
that's 3 months away.
Yes,
You're expecting this H&H study and to be completed before that time?
yes, yes.
It's just, if you follow this down, it just looks like there's no wiggle room at all. Like if we get delayed at all, it's a big, huge deal.
Yes,
And we just have to push
yes,
and gain months
100%.
wherever we can
Yep.
in this process.
100%. I'm with you 100% on that.
We'll hope they're all bonded.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
you go ahead, are you through?
Yes.
Okay, another thing that I see on this, and I don't know why, we've got the creek channel improvements are together, and then the dam drainage together, and street improvements together. The dates are not contiguous, they're jammed together.
Because there will be some overlapping in projects.
They're not dependent on one another?
No,
Okay.
There
I
you go,
got you.
No.
there you go.
no, there will be some overlapping in projects that are going on. When they're finishing up the creek improvement, I'm sure there will be people here on the dam studies because they're coming out next week to do a field visit with structural engineers on the dam already.
Yeah, they both start on March the 31st, both of them, the dam drainage improvement and creek channel improvements.
Yes,
They'll be pretty much contiguous to each other.
yes.
So, on this schedule, it says here, contract award for street improvements.
Yes.
Once they get awarded, they can begin construction at that point, is that
Yes.
right?
Yes, sir.
I guess it's construction in TP for street improvements?
Yes.
Oh, begins in, I got you, March? No, April?
24.
24.
Yeah, but the engineering designs on street improvements is 8/31. Is that the beginning date of that? I mean,
I don't believe so. I think that is like
I mean,
when they,
this
when they
is
have their,
weird.
when they have their final designs done, and where we're at, monies wise and stuff like that.
this was obviously done by an engineer or a lawyer. Well, I mean, every date on here is the end of the last day of the month. I guess 12/1 is good. Then after that, everything's the last day of the month. That's an odd, what I'm looking at, and Zach just said it, and that's what I'm looking at, is 8/31 is a day here that something can happen. You go back up here, you'll find another date. I don't know what the form would look like where these things are happening and you can tell chronologically what's happening next. Even though,
Okay.
I don't know what that would look like. That's what I'm sitting here trying to figure out how to do
I
that.
think
Three
that,
separate projects.
yeah, and that's how they broke it up.
Each one has their own timeline.
Okay, well, I hope that's true, and I understand that, but then this thing, date-wise, being able to pinpoint and see what's happening next makes that quite entertaining. And if they're each have their own project, why aren't we starting the street improvement tomorrow? Just saying.
Because,
The engineers, one
Well,
project takes 9 months,
I think
one
it's-
takes 9
it's-
months. They can't do all three
Leslie,
at
I
the same
understand that,
time.
but
No,
Okay,
I think the street,
You tell me that one of them doesn't matter to the other, and then why aren't we starting the street design tomorrow?
I think, and this is me jumping in, and there's been so much conversation, I want to make sure, if I'm heading in the wrong there and I'll give you an answer you want, kick me aside. But if, these are all big components of one big piece. If you put the wrong puzzle piece down first, it's gonna mess up everything else. So you wanna get the creek improvements and everything else for that to be cleared off so that any other water that works that you're doing will plug into that then going.
Okay, so we don't need to say these are separate projects.
Well, if you look, the engineering for the creek takes 9 months, okay? And so then if you scoot down to so in 331, they're gonna do bids for the creek channel. That's when they start working on the engineering for.
Where do you get engineering for the
dam.
streets takes 9 months?
Right out there to the side. The first thing, engineering design for creek channel.
Are you saying creek?
Creek.
I thought you
It's not
said street.
Oh,
No,
creek.
creek.
I'm sorry, I thought you
No,
said
no.
street. Okay, now
No.
I see that one, okay.
Okay, so the bid advertisement goes out 331. So then they start the engineering design for the dam and drainage improvements on 331,
Is that
which
square?
takes
Okay, I understand that.
9 months.
Okay, Leslie, I
And so
understand it.
then
Leslie,
They
put a
can't do
cork
all
in it.
this engineering
Put a
at
cork
one
in it.
time.
I understand that.
Okay.
But don't tell me they're separate. If they're separate, the street project can start tomorrow.
No, we can't. Because
No,
you're working
no,
on
no,
engineering
then
of
they're not
something else.
separate.
No, well, if you remember when we first started this whole deal and Scott came with his first timeline, that's, yes, you're right. But they're all in one pot of money
Okay.
and it has
Do
to,
we have to wait for something before we can spend the next pot?
no.
You have to wait to get the engineering.
But we don't want to run into the problem with that if, say, we run over on street improvements that we can't do anything else.
Oh,
I think that's why it's broke into that way.
okay.
And there may be some streets that will have to be taken off the list possibly to make everything, because we all know that costs of everything have been, Going up.
We won't do all the streets that are on the
Yes.
list. I fully,
I've got a question.
Go ahead.
So, clarify. So basically, we're looking at the creek, the dam, and the streets. Those are the three main
Main
components
components.
of
Yes,
this
sir.
right here. The creek and the dam, it looks like they can go pretty much simultaneously and just track, they can go they can be independent and just go through both of those projects together. The third one, the streets, it is dependent on the creek and dam being completed before it can begin. Is that right?
I think to some extent, yes.
Because they need the studies of the engineering of the creek, they need the studies and the engineering of the dam in order to correctly identify what streets need to do what, when, and where.
Well, and yes.
How much funds is-
And how much funds are available.
So after the creek and dam, they look at the funds and whatever's available, then they can
Will
say,
go.
all right, this is our pot that we can dedicate toward the streets, and then we have to decide on which ones we want to do.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes. And I mean, they're planning on starting the engineer design phase in August of next year, which, is in the middle of the, I guess, engineering and dam improvements, and drainage.
If we can get the creek and the dam projects, those two, completed faster, at a faster rate, we can start the streets earlier,
Yes.
buy us some extra time in case something happens. Rain,
Yes.
rainy season, there's all kinds of things that going on.
Yes.
The creek and dam improvement, the creek and dam projects, it seems, I don't know, but it seems like that weather won't hinder that as much. It's more of red tape
if
in
it's
the
raining, you're not
government.
cleaning out the dam and the drainage, the creek. We have a wet spring or wet summer, it'll change all of that. The time to do that would have been this last year when it was all dry and you could do anything you wanted to.
Yeah.
No, I just,
No, and I understand your concerns. I'm concerned about it too, myself, and I've voiced my concerns during these calls that we're on a timeline here, you know? We don't want to have to go beg for an extension or anything like that. You know, we've been talking about this for, well, y'all were talking about it before I was even here
That's
right.
2 years ago.
Yep.
We are ready to see some dirt turn over. We are ready to see something tore up. I don't know how else to say it in a good way.
bad choice of words.
I know it was a bad choice of words.
Sometimes
No, I just-
administration costs too many.
There's something wrong with this plan, and it's not.
It is.
It's not
We
healthy.
need to have Scott come over and explain
Okay.
it.
That's
right. We can do that. We can do that.
I think that's what needs to be met with meetings.
Do
with
what?
us.
I think that'd be a great idea, to have Scott come here, because in that way, there's no,
That's
you know,
right.
you can ask the guy that came up with the list, why is this X, Y, and
Yeah.
Z, and we're expecting A, B, and C.
Well, I don't, we need to have a conversation before he comes here, I can tell you that.
It's possible that he has things built into this that allow for an extra month or two here, but it doesn't indicate that from here, so it's a big concern.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you said, Larry, you can tell an engineer put it together, so if we get him on the phone and can visit with them, then it'll definitely decipher a lot of what's on this.
Yeah, we could spend 3 hours in here trying to talk about this and get
15 minutes.
his engineer brain and our little brain going, what are you doing? I mean, Scott's very good at what he does, and his hands are tied in some respects. But I want us to have, as a commission, and the guys that are trying to understand what's going on, that we've got a clear vision of when it's time to panic or whatever. And if he's not comfortable, then we can't be comfortable.
Yep. We sure can.
So I think it's convoluted personally.
Yeah. Think so.
And when we talk about engineering street design, where's the decision made about, I mean, you're a contractor awarding bids, where's the decision gonna be made, when the decision gonna be made about what streets we're gonna do and what the priorities on those streets are? We talked about this when this
I
started.
think that's going to be in the engineering,
The 6
The-
months of engineering?
yes. Yes, I mean, and I've already had conversations with Scott, which streets I feel are top priority and where we need to go first.
Let me ask you this, is it possible to start, I mean, we have we know that Logo Vista, right, is like
100%.
the number one street, it's gonna get done, number one. Is it possible, knowing that, and not knowing what the total budget is for the entire street projects, but knowing Logo Vista is gonna be a piece of that budget, go ahead and
Let me ask
start
you a question.
that first and
Let me
early?
ask you a question. How do you know that?
What is that?
Lago Vista's gonna be number one.
It's gonna be number one, number two. I think we've
Have you
all.
made that decision?
No,
Have you
we've
made
talked
that
about this
decision?
before.
I'm not picking on you. I agree with you. Lago Vista's gonna be number one. We haven't made that decision. That's what bothers me.
Yes, sir.
We've had that
Yes, sir.
discussion. That's what bothers me. He's gonna do engineering design on which one? He's gonna start over here on Brock Street, whatever some street is over here, and we're going, no, you're gonna start out there first.
Yes,
He
sir.
can't do engineering design till we say the priority.
Yes, sir.
Because we're gonna be ones answering that to our constituents, and our people go, why
Yes,
are you
sir.
doing Lago Vista? My house is flooding every day.
Yes, sir.
And I agree, Lago Vista is number one. I don't think that's the debate around this table at all. But we don't know that. Our engineer and us have not made that decision, and that's my point. We need that done. If he's gonna do engineering design, he needs to know, I don't wanna wait till August 31st to say, oh yeah, you need to be here. He should know that ahead of time. He's getting paid a lot of money. He ought to know, we ought to know what the plan is, and we need to have that discussion somewhere about what the plan's gonna be. Here's the streets, here's the money, whatever, we're gonna get this far. We need $1 million. We've got 750,000, so we're gonna go down to 750,000 mark. If this board has made the decision that that's the mark we get
Yes,
to.
sir.
He needs to know, here's the priority of the streets, and whatever money we've got left, there it is. Just like if we don't sell the houses, or we don't do, and there's $200,000 left over, we can now move $200,000 farther down the street, or the dam, or the creek.
Yes, sir.
Those decisions have not been made.
They're not.
And we're now moving into this, we need to know that plan. We need to have a discussion about that plan.
Who's on first?
Is everybody, are we
Yeah,
all?
I like that. My question is, whatever street is number one, before they finish the creek and dam project, before they finish it, before we know exactly how much money is going to be for streets set aside, can we proceed at some point early before this, one of those streets? The one that we need the most? One or two or something like that?
Let me footnote that. That can be known before we start or do anything. That can be known today. What we say, the street number one, or the street priorities, or the dam priorities, or the creek priorities, what they are, that can be known before we ever turn a shovel on any of this. We need to be having those discussions,
Okay,
Right.
understood.
right? Before that's finished, not before you start the dam, who cares? The street project, the dam, whatever the priorities of all of this, we need to get the big picture and start having those discussions. And the engineer needs to be here in that discussion.
He does-
And we
he
may
does
say
need to
Lago
know.
Vista's number one, we may say Lago Vista's number one, he may say that, what's the other one out there, there's another one out there, gotta be done first.
Pogue or Terry?
Well, you got Pogue, any of those, I can't name, we got Lago Vista's here, what's the little one goes down? That may need to be done first to make Lago Vista work, I don't know that, the engineer's gotta do that, but we need to, here's the priorities, what we see, and what needs to happen.
Especially if there's a conservative estimate of how much money will be left over for streets. I mean, you don't have to take any,
But no.
maybe you could start some of the street projects earlier.
Yes, sir. And I think that, I'm not, I mean, I don't know, but I think,
Okay.
my personal feeling is that the way this is lined out is, you know, once we get the bid for the creek, the dam, we have that amount of money left that's going to streets. We are going to, I can't say that, but my feeling is we're gonna start the streets once we have those firm numbers done
I agree.
and we know,
I agree.
and that's where we're going.
But we need to be having a discussion about streets and get all that off the table, so when he gets his money and he starts down that path to do engineering in August, he already knows, we've had that discussion before August. Now, I'm not saying we gotta do it in January, but that needs to happen, and we need to get those ducks lined up and not wait till August.
I agree.
We know
Yes, sir.
where we're going.
That's true.
Yes,
You know, I'm sure River of Life, J&J Air Conditioning, and all of those people out on that end of town would like to know what we're doing.
Yes, sir.
Ken Chapman, the
Yes, sir.
deal over here coming, would like to know what the priorities are and why we're doing what we're doing. They may have a plan, they may have an idea, they may have something. I know Jerry Maston has spent a lot of money at his church trying to do things and fix the flooding problem.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm done. Thank goodness.
And there's more housing on Lago Vista. There's so many more residents going up and down that street. It's the worst street in our town. I can't wait till it gets concreted in.
I agree with you 100%. So avoid it at all costs.
And Tim Pitts went from the frying pan to the fire. It deal floods out there, the police department floods. I mean, he just can't win. Okay.
And I do have something else. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. Are we, I'm good on that.
You know, I mean,
No,
you got things to do. We can't fix this tonight, but
No.
you know where we're going.
But Highway 6, they're finally done with that whole rigmarole, and we're starting to get customers hooked up out there. What else? Oh, the water line that y'all have been working on since 2016, I believe.
Yeah.
We'll finally start advertising for bids.
That's all part of this same thing.
Yes. That
Just
will
thought
go-
I'd bring that up.
that
I mean, that's
will
gonna
go-
be-
Runs right down Lago Vista. Yeah.
That's gotta go hand in hand with Lago Vista.
Yes, sir.
And if that means we've gotta make a decision ahead of time on that street and get it done, we need to be prepared to do that.
Yes.
I mean, just because he's got this cute little timeline, they may be engineering that street ahead of time to fix that water project, because that water project needs to be a priority and get it off our plate.
I agree.
It's the number one street. There's no doubt about it.
It is, you're exactly right.
But there,
We don't disagree at all.
We're fixing to start advertising for bids on that, and hopefully
That's good.
by next month, we will be bringing it before y'all to approve a bid. But
I'm exhausted.
that's what I have,
Are you through?
unless you have any more questions, sir.
Skipped right over downtown sidewalk. You still waiting on TxDOT, right?
Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. I just thought that's.
No, I'm waiting on TxDOT for lots of things, and they're not,
I understand. Are you through?
yes, sir.
Somebody's next. City manager, code enforcement.
Make it quick, had 29 cases open, he opened 14 more, closed 9, left us with 34. There were 21 violations open, 11 were closed, 2 citations were sent, those were both for tall weeds and grass, $212 worth of fines assessed. For the next month, I'm gonna have a total of all the building permits and that have been pulled for the year, and then show you all the growth that we've had. Did a final on plumbing for the dollar store. They have, quite a bit done. They were finishing up HVAC and electric inside when I was there. Have had a lot of calls about people wanting to work some properties and bring some new businesses to town, to different places. And whenever I have more final, decisions from them, I can give you guys some ideas on what's happening. Harbor Freight is still moving forward from what I understand. I think there's some discussion going on between them and the person that's got the building dealing with the lease, but they have already pulled their permit to do their work out there. Whenever they get everything buttoned up with the lease, then they can start that.
The dollar store, what's the estimated opening date, do you know, per month?
I wouldn't be surprised if they had it done within the next month.
Wow.
It really is amazing how it's like, they brought it in already done in a box almost. We have some people that are building houses here in town that are still trying to build it for, in a year into it, these guys almost have this thing up in a couple months. So it's really impressive.
Okay. Any questions for Tony? It's good news, by the way, these businesses and things happening. We see the sales tax report,
Yep.
finance report, we see those things and more coming. That's
There's
just,
somebody that has
Bought a piece of property real close to downtown that's going to demo and build a new business there, and it's exciting.
good. That's great. That's outstanding. Police Department, our new chief.
All right. I'm kind of scared of doing that. Well, in November, we had 217 calls for service. We had 26 cases or incidents that were taken in. We had 89 business checks, which were quite a bit down. I did some checking into that. I think it had a whole lot more to do with, if you look on down, we had 115 citations issued, 444 warnings for 559 total contacts. So our guys were out on the road more, stopping cars, but we had less business checks. So I've addressed that already, which they're up on business checks for December. I think it's an important time to get our business checks up on our local businesses. We did file 18 cases with the district attorney's office. Our animal control had 16 citations issued, which was quite a bit for November. She had 5 warnings, so she had 79 calls for service, so she was quite busy. 19 arrests, 24 violations, 7 narcotics cases. In November, we had the 16-year-old that had a self-inflicted gunshot wound. That took quite a bit of our time up, which was a pretty big case that all our guys worked really hard on. We ran every aspect of that case out to every end we could. The end result on that case is going to be that it was a self-inflicted gunshot wound, and we can't really give a reason as to why. That'll be up to the parents to decide what the final reason was on that, other than our findings were the same as the medical examiner's findings. And then we had a Texas Ranger also look at that and make sure that his findings were the same as ours. Joyner, of course, continues to lead us in everything that aspect of what he does. He had a stop on I-20 in which I backed him up on, and he got a pretty substantial amount of marijuana and took 4 assault weapons off the road that we're in the process of seizing right now. Don Walls is still on light duty. We're continuing to utilize him to take reports on walk-ins and warrants, and then today I made arrangements with the sheriff, and we're going to have trustees come next week. Don's going to watch them, and they're going to clean the outside of the PD. They're bringing power washers and stuff at no cost to the city. We're going to get the PD and the surrounding area cleaned up around there a little bit. And that's about what we've got for November.
What is Joyner doing on I-20? How'd he end up on I-20?
The call come in about them threatening a vehicle with a gun, and the troopers were out of pocket, and he just happened to be the one that saw the vehicle come by, and he made it stop. So-
Did it start in Eastland, or did he go?
No, he went out to the interstate to help look for the vehicle, and it come through our city limits on the interstate. And I advised him to go ahead and knock it down, and we got there. The troopers showed up pretty quickly afterwards, but they were coming from.
Well, I mean,
County.
I know we as a general rule don't patrol the interstate.
Yeah, we don't patrol the interstate, but
It's called for help, no problem.
Something like this where it was real dangerous, and these people they're truly bad guys, so we were pretty happy to get them off the road, get their dope, get their weapons away from them.
The troopers are out of pocket, huh?
Yes,
You shouldn't have retired, I'm telling you, it messed up the whole deal. All right, any questions for the chief? Welcome, sir. Thank you, appreciate it. All right, who's next? Oh, the old married guy. Oh, hi, Joe. How you doing, buddy?
Thank you. For the fire department in November, we totaled 56 calls. That's a little dip for our average run there. So we were a little quiet there, except for Thanksgiving. That little day or two stint around Thanksgiving, I think half of those calls came in that day before and day after in Thanksgiving. We ended up with 21 calls in that time frame, and the majority of them.
Was that what roads on the interstate?
Yes, sir, the majority of them. And I'm wondering if we weren't actually able to capture some of those calls, because I noticed that we only came up with 16 motor vehicle accidents, and I think we had more than that in one day out there. So we may have kind of lost track as we went from one to another to another.
Did y'all have to assist Cisco in that? There's quite a bit on that side too.
No, we didn't. We all were able to, and we were all kind of managing our own stuff there too. So we never made it down there.
I understand they're going to resurface the roads through there.
Yeah, that's correct. Chief Fairbanks from Cisco actually made a contact with TxDOT through some of their events down there, and they recognized 3 significant patches of I-20 that are showing problematic. So
It was every day those were wrecked. Every day, multiple.
Anytime we had moisture on the highway, it was problematic, and they can't keep the cable guards up. It's just practically impossible. So, and it's just in a specific area. So they've looked at it, and they've. I'm not exactly. Can't recall the exact time frame, but they're looking at resurfacing the portions of those areas.
Even into Eastland.
Yeah. We're right out here just due west of the Highway 6 entrance exit. We're at 339, 340. A couple of mile markers running there in our affected territory, but so we dipped a little bit for our statistics show. We went down to 1.8 calls a day, but for the year total, we're still running right at 2 calls a day. 28 of those were in the city and 27 were in the county, which is a little different from our typical statistics. We typically run quite a bit more in the city limits. 1 mutual aid call. We did install 1 smoke detector, and we still like to push that program, especially this time of year. I am hoping that this community is saturated with smoke detectors, because we're just not getting that, and we want to continue to push that message for smoke detectors, our smoke detector program. 8 of the calls took place after 10 o'clock at night and before 7 in the morning. We did attend 2 working structure fires, which again is putting us right. We're running this average about 2 a month, which is pretty busy for our population in square miles. 0 grass fires, 4 vehicle fires. Had a little spike in that there. And then 25 medical assists for the assisting the EMS. 16 motor vehicle accidents. Again, I'm afraid we didn't capture all of those due to just the busyness. 2 public assists, we had 7 false alarms / investigations, and then we had no hazmat incidents or any type of rescues. Our membership is holding steady at 25 members. We did lose 2 good, valuable volunteers to relocating to other areas for job purposes, and there is an application on my desk that we're looking forward to acquiring a new member in our meeting in January. That puts us at, so we're running these statistics fiscally, but we calculate our total runs annually by date, by year. So this puts us at 763 runs for the year of 2022, and I'm confident we will break, it's gonna be real close there if we're gonna break 800 calls for the year. So that'll put us up a little from our run volume from last year. And so just real quick, I was wanting to share with y'all, I have been absent for a little bit, but for the fiscal year of 2022, the fire department took advantage of the best I can calculate, about $68,000 in grant funding, from tuition, equipment reimbursement, the ARPA funds, and several other opportunities that we've been able to capture for different opportunities. We totaled up to the best I can get, right around $68,000 in grant funding for the fire department. Our rookie of the year this year was firefighter Cheyenne Trevino, rookie of the year. Just exceptional performance. And firefighter of the year was Deputy Chief Sam Williams.
Very good.
That's all I have.
Very good. Good deal. Good to have you back in the saddle and
Thank you.
healthy again. That's good. Minister, anything else for the chief? Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Election coming up in May 2023, got 3 places open. Applications can be picked up now, but January 18th is the first time I can take them.
Yeah.
3 places, Zach, Ben, and Cecil.
Right. Okay.
That's just a reminder.
What is the final date for that?
You can pick them up between January 18th and February 17th.
They have to be
Or,
turned in.
they have to be turned in by that time. You can pick them up anytime.
Yeah, yeah.
17th of February is the deadline to come in.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Well, you got, on the municipal court deal, what am I reading here that says?
That is the difference between 21 and 22. We are down 35,000 from November of 21.
What exactly is that telling me? We're down 20,000, we lost $20,000 revenue.
Yes. Yes, sir. Really, it was just, one reason was we had some lag between, we tried to change our ticketing system, which was a big hit in that, and then, people just not paying their fines. If you'll go back and look at your police report.
That's where I was going, exactly what I'm looking for. What did I do?
Citations, it's right here. 33 citations were written in October, and as opposed to, our normal, I don't remember.
Maybe their behavior is getting better.
Yeah. And since then, we have switched from that E-Force back to CopSync to.
They went to the county went to an E-Force program, which is, it's tying all the court systems and all the law enforcement agencies in the county and a lot of other counties together. We really like the E-Force program on the RMS side, which is the report writing and all that. It ties us all together. However, the first time I looked at it, I realized it was very un-officer friendly, and I wasn't sold on it. But it was put in place, and we started utilizing it, and our officers just, they weren't utilizing it. It didn't work. It was very un-officer friendly and didn't work. So I talked to David and talked him into, we basically told the sheriff we're not going to use it. We came back to the city manager and asked him to let us go back to CopSync, and immediately when we went back to the system we were using, our officers immediately started writing citations again and got back out on the road. And it's as simple as the system was so hard to use, they just weren't using it. It was just very un-officer friendly. I mean, you couldn't write a ticket, you couldn't get it to print, you couldn't get the information to autofill. just made it very, very complicated to make a traffic stop.
How long were we using that?
About a month before we swapped back. We used it nearly all of October. We gave it I mean, we tried to give it a good try, kind of at the request of the sheriff, and we did give it a good run. Worked great for them, but for us, where we make our bread and butter on traffic stops, it just didn't work for us. So that's when we pulled it back to Cop Sync, and we're happy with that, and everything's working great, and our numbers are back where they're supposed to be. I really don't have an excuse for that other than it didn't work for us. And, I mean, the first time I looked at it, I'm coming off of what DPS used, and I was like, that's horrible. I mean, that's not gonna work roadside. And so I think they sold a program they didn't have. And they made it sound really, really good, but when we started putting it to use and on the side of the road, it just didn't work. So it really cost us that
Okay. What else?
I move we adjourn. Anything else?
That's all. A motion to adjourn from Zach.
Second.
Second from Ben. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I voted on that, just if you need to know that.